Okay, we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna call this meeting to order, this study session meeting to order at exactly 4:30. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and follow a minute silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you might be seated. Thank you. Okay, item number 2, we'll go ahead and do the trust model policies.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. I just want to thank the governing board already for, this is the fourth one, I think, fourth month in a row, where we've had a study session prior to our regular board meeting. So I do appreciate your guys' availability to spend some extra time as we cover the policies that the trust has recommended that will take effect, once again, July 1st, 2025. I do want to thank Diane Cordery's office and her office, Isabel Sinclair, who's done an amazing amount of work in making sure we stay organized and that we have recommended policies sent off to the trust to review and then come back, get sent to Danny, and then off to the governing board. So I know it's taken a lot of your time. This is our last study session for policies. We will be bringing some back second semester. As laws change, recommendations from the trust will then change, so we'll have to bring those back. That will be active July 1st, 2025. And there's a few other areas we still need to clean up with what's called exhibits or forms in the trust policy or procedures. But those will be coming to the board periodically over the next few months, but it won't take a study session to go through them. So thank you in advance. So this is our last one, unless anyone requests a study session over these, and we can do it again. But there's actually 2 chapters that were left, and Chapter 2, which I'll just jump to, which is not on our PowerPoint, is the superintendent, job duties and evaluation. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, so that's not part of this study session, but we can talk about it if you want. So I really just wanted to highlight some areas of Chapter 1. And we did start at 4:30 just because I think in the past, starting at 4, we had some time left over. So I do appreciate you coming a little bit later. So on Chapter 1, I just want to highlight a couple areas. And you will notice that 1-102 is the board authority and responsibilities. We do have it up on the screen, but it's also on your iPad, and we have printouts. We have multiple ways to have this covered. And I was inspired by Mr. Bosch, who's not here today, and Mr. Jankowski to have a PowerPoint. I'm not throwing shade at Ms. Cordery, but I'm just saying the PowerPoint's kind of nice to have. But this is simply what is the board responsible to, but not limited to. But these are your main responsibilities. And I think it's also important, since this is a study session, that the public also knows what that is as well. And then we have the board authority and responsibilities. So I don't know if anyone had any questions about any of that section there.
I do have.
Okay.
Is this pretty much what we have on the website?
Yes, and so what we'll do is once we start July 1st, if this is approved, we have first read today, second read in January. If the governing board does approve it, Mr. Patton would actually, one of his tasks is to update the website or his team and his project managers, and that can go live July 1st. So that on the website, we have what board members do and what their responsibilities are. If there's any tweaks to it, we would change the language. So this is the trust language. What's on the website is essentially ASBA, Arizona School Board Association language, and it's probably copyrighted. So we don't want to just copy it exactly.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Moving on. 1-200, equal educational opportunity and non-discrimination. I know this has been a muddy area for the last couple of years, it seems like. However, we still use the 2020 Title IX policies. We did not adopt 2024. And if there's any changes that come out of the next few months, we would then follow those policies as well as law dictates. So I wanted to make sure that the public also knows, since this is a study session, that the language that the trust is recommending is based on 2020. And that deals with the educational equal opportunity and non-discrimination, which also falls in the employment side as well. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about that either.
So when the, I'm sorry.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when the new federal administration comes in and there's some changes, they'll let every state know about it, right? And then we can,
Yeah, I have my hopes and dreams that it's the same, that it applies the same across all the United States, but we'll wait and see. But if there's any legal changes, then the trust will say, hey, here are the new recommended policies, and then we would take the policies to the governing board as a first read, second read, and then if approved by the governing board, they would take effect July 1st as well. Any questions about that? All right. 1-302, since this is we do belong to a board, it's really important that, we also get reminded every now and then about open meeting law requirements. So just because we're changing from ASBA to the trust, open meeting laws, that's Arizona revised statute that applies the same way in the same manner. So for example, one big change that just came out a year ago, which I highlighted up there, is that we actually have to put when the facility opens up. It used to be you just say, hey, the meeting starts at 5:15, regular board meeting. We actually have to now put what time the facility opens up, and then also we actually have to have it in a space in what we think is the anticipated crowd. I'm looking today, I think we're okay for the study session, and there'll be a few more people for our regular board meeting, but essentially, if we think there's going to be 500 people at a board meeting, then we would actually have to move it to one of our auditoriums. So that's a new open meeting law that we do have to follow, is when does the facility open, and then we have to anticipate if there'll be a larger crowd. We do not have a crystal ball. No, it broke prior to COVID. We don't have a crystal ball, but that also falls into play where if you have districts that might have retreats in Tucson or in California or in Sedona, then the public can't access that facility either. So, the times we've had retreats, they're in the room right next door, the PD classroom, so they're still accessible for the public. So a lot of this deals with people's access to the board as well during the open meeting. But yes, I don't have a crystal ball, so I'm not sure what the topic would be, but if we had something where we anticipate a large crowd, we might move it to an auditorium, or if we had a huge crowd show up, we may go into recess and then say, hey, we're gonna reconvene at COFA because of the proximity, and in 2 hours, because we'd have to get the facility ready if it was there. So there's opportunities to make some changes, but we would never intentionally have it in a small area to limit the size. We legally have to have it where we think capacity would be. So far, we're doing okay, especially tonight. Any other questions about the open meeting law requirements? The last one is 1-401B, procedure, legal guardian rights and education, parental involvement. We're going to begin sending out an annual survey. And that's kind of a commitment we're making, and that's why it's on here as well. It's actually recommended by the trust, and we're recommending it to the board as well. But it's also part of our Cognia. The work with Cognia, we felt that some feedback we got from surveys was really important and help us grow. So we're making the commitment that yearly we're going to send a survey out, and that's why we're putting it in board policy as well. So I thought I would draw attention to that. It does say may send the survey out. So if there's ever a time we won't be in violation, but that's a commitment that we do want to make, that we will send a survey out to gather some information on a yearly basis. No, but so at the bottom part is about the random sample. So not every parent or guardian may get it. So like so thank you for that correction, Diane. Diane's very good about showing, drawing attention to when I do make a mistake. So yes, we will send it out, but we may, which doesn't happen very often, which may be every parent or a sampling of parents. So I just thought on the record, it does happen. Yes?
Question here. So I'm looking where it says legal guardian
Mhm.
rights, and that's something I've always been looking at, because there's some parents that will actually give a relative a power of attorney. Yeah,
I'll let the expert, yeah, being a good student, he raised his hand.
Right, yeah, exactly. So no kids have a power of attorney.
No, so the only people that can register you for school are your legal guardian. So someone shows up with a power of attorney, we give them, I think, like roughly 30 days to come in with the right documentation. So I hope that it helps answer the question. Yeah. All right. Any other questions regarding Chapter 1? I know you were sent 58 pages or something to review, which is the shortest number, because, what's that? I think the whole board book might have been 139, maybe. I don't know. That might be another mistake I made on numbers. Diane will admit I'm bad at numbers, but this was a much smaller sample to digest. But obviously, this is a first read in our next meeting coming up in about half hour. But if there's questions there, or if there's something that wants to be brought up in the second read, that's something we can do in January as well. So, all right, if there's no more questions, that's what I have for policies.
Any questions from the public? Nope. Any questions from any of the board members? Okay, if not, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting, the study session. Okay, there's been a motion by Ms. Mellon, second by Ms. Craddock. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries.